So wonderful to have you join us. Welcome to the Dharmagiri Shrine Room. I know many of you have been here, some very recently, so welcome back. It's wonderful to connect in this way. My name is Maya, and next to me is Neil and Pumla, and we're the crew who is taking care of Dharmagiri right now. Very grateful too. And this monthly meditation is a moment to connect with our community far and wide. And this evening, we're very grateful to have Moyra Keane guiding us. Moyra is a very old friend of Dharmagiri, and she's been meditating for 45 years. She teaches Tai Chi and mindfulness, and she's also an associate professor at the University of Johannesburg and a coach. And Moyra has one of the kindest, most generous hearts I know. And it's really wonderful to have a hold space for us tonight. Thank you, Moyra. Hand over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Maya and Pumla and Neil for putting this all together. Greetings, everyone. I was going to say good evening, but it's not good evening everywhere. Lisa, I'm so glad to see you. And Connie, I think it's your first time to the meditations sessions. I'm also glad to see you, Ahmed, all the way from Europe. Not sure where you are now. And some of you, I think I'm just meeting on Durban from Namibia. Oh, it's lovely to see you. So, yeah, I appreciate all the effort that's gone into really making Dharmagiri a vibrant space with our new team there. This evening, I'd like to focus on ways of knowing. I can see Constance smiling. Ways of knowing rather than knowledge. Knowledge sounds like a product. So now, ways of knowing is often the way Dharma, in fact, is described in indigenous cultures, or even ways of living in nature. So I'll reflect, this will be something of a contemplation and reflection, my throat's a bit funny, on nature and different ways of knowing. So knowing is one of the three jewels. It's also an antidote to delusion. And I think there's quite enough of that in the world at the moment, in all sorts of manifestations. So we'll look at nature and our human nature. So just to start, I invite us to arrive, just land wherever we are. Just land fully in the body, precious human birth. Maybe take a deeper breath as an instant way of settling us as well as enlivening us. So resting and waking, just feeling the breath coming in and going on. It's a bit like stopping time. We have something of a preoccupation with time, getting things done, feeling pushed. So just feeling the whole body, the warmth, the clothes on the skin, the pressure on the seat, and the uprightness of the spine. I gently close the eyes for a moment, letting the eyes relax. The face relaxes very easily if we let there be a slight smile on the face. Just feeling what that's like being together and present. So we might also reflect on nature within us. We often think of nature outside of us, but indeed we are all part of nature, and nature is part of us. All the ancient wisdom traditions reflect that, emphasize that. On our retreats with Baba Mandasa, he often spoke very little and sent us out into nature to commune with the tree, with the grasses, the sky, so we can feel the palpable force, nourishment of Mother Nature. So that Mother, way we say Mother Nature has a nurturing quality to it. And in many traditions, many languages, the word for breath and spirit is the same. So as we breathe in, we indeed connect with spirit. So we'll come back to some sitting later, and I'll say some things about nature, the nature of knowledge. I've recently come back from Australia, and it's customary at any gathering or ceremony to acknowledge the land of the First Nations people. Something we don't do here, but we might consider how much we belong to the land. So in Indigenous cultures in Oratoria, Australia, Canada, North America, Africa, of course, it's not just about investigating nature in the way perhaps our modern focus on education is, but also appreciating, revering, recognizing the miracle of nature, the mystery, the timelessness, the power, our ancient connection. So in this, through all these different human experiences, not just our thinking mind, there is a direct connection, an immediate connection. So in spite of all our frequent or often sense of alienation, we are entirely made up of the substance of Mother Nature, literally inspired by nature, and inevitably, inescapably, in our last breath, we are expired. And of course, our bodily substance doesn't disappear either. We are all recycled. Yeah, how nice is that? It's not we get a perception of all the images of our body, our selfies. I was looking, how can I touch up my appearance on the Zoom? And Unfortunately, I'm not very good at that. But actually, we all made out of ancient recycled atoms. And at Damagiri, one of the really such a special place. We know that the first humans probably came from Southern Africa, and the land there probably had humans 300,000 years ago. So with all our smartness, 300,000 years is something that the mind can't, at least my mind, can't really get hold of. It's mind-boggling that there were people there. Our ancestors were there that long ago. It helps us let go of our time conception. So our original understanding of Dharma, of nature, is through our body, through our spirit, our dreams, our senses. Language only came a lot later. We even talk about being moved or feeling something or having intuition. And being in nature helps us reconnect with a sense of direct transition. And it makes me remember an incident. His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, came to Wits University, well, I think exactly 20 years ago. And I was delegated to meet him, greet him, and so he arrived with the necessary security, a big entourage, a whole convoy of black cars, and everyone was very nervous. And I went up to greet him, and he took my hands, and he put a kata, the white scarf, around my neck, and he took my arm, and we walked towards the Great Hall, and he didn't say anything, and I didn't say anything. And my heart was pounding so loudly, I was embarrassed. I thought, oh, everyone can hear my heart like doof, doof. And just in that connection, I felt this transmission of deep wakefulness and love. And, no language there. And I think we, in the manas, busyness part of our mind, we get very caught up in language. Sometimes when I meditate, I pretend I don't have any language. You might pause for a minute and try that. What is it like? Just to sit and just press the delete button. No, don't worry, it'll come back. It might not even go away on language. What's it like without language? Just feeling the body, the senses, the heart space. So, I'd love to know later how this strikes you. Anyway, you can tell me later. So we can connect as we see, even momentarily. His Holiness also recommends if someone can meditate for 30 seconds, it is beneficial. So we often think, oh, I'm not very good at meditating, but we can connect consciously anytime that comes to mind, that we remember. Of course, we are always connected fortunately, Mother Nature breathes us. Otherwise, I, for one, certainly would be dead because I would have forgotten to breathe. So, but we can still connect consciously anytime. And our indigenous and religious teachings are some of them hundreds years old, some thousands of years old. And what I'm quite fascinated with are the parallels across different ways of knowing. So compared to the humans being here for hundreds of thousands of years, nature, of course, has been here much, much, much longer. I read recently that bats, sea creatures, bats have been here for 60 million years. It's another thing that helps the mind kind of give up uh, with our time trap. We think of the olden days as being pre-emails or internet. So even our conception of time becomes contracted as our sense of self becomes kind of isolated. And nature, recalling, contemplation, of course, a tradition in Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, contemplating, especially nature, can be very helpful. And our notion of our individuality and our notion of time is, of course, part of the delusion. I know those of you here familiar with the whole university pressure thing. Everything is measured in outputs and time, and you know, the other qualities are perhaps not there. And it's very compelling, easy to get caught in that. And nature has a different feel of time, time cycles, lunar cycles. Oh, and it's a very auspicious time, I think, for us to be meeting. We're just going into Sagadawa or Wesak, which is a holy month in Buddhism. And on the 23rd, it's a full moon, which commemorates the birth and enlightenment and nirvana of the Buddha, all on the same day. Actually, I think Buddhism doesn't have many celebratory days, especially in the West. I was working on the school calendar for schools when we had thank goodness, the change in government, and all religions were celebrated in schools. So they asked me, what are the days for Buddhism that they can put in the calendar? So I phoned, of course, Anthony Osler and Rob Nairn and a couple of Buddhists. And when I asked Anthony, our Zen Buddhist, what's the important day in Buddhism? He said, every day. I think the students would have liked that anyhow. So connecting with nature, it humbles us. Just thinking of those time frames brings us to wonder, to gratitude, emotionally, intellectually, physically, creatively. And then our just feeling grateful for the bountifulness of nature. So it does undo some of the fixedness of our views, of our busyness. And of course, yeah, I get all academic on you, forgive me, but I find it fascinating. We can look at a star and think we see a star, and the light has traveled to us thousands of years. For thousands of years, the star died long ago, and we still think we see a star in the sky, or we think we're hearing silence. And in fact, our range of hearing is so limited. There are so many frequencies beyond our hearing as there are frequencies of light beyond our sight. And it brings to mind a caution to think that we see things as they are. Never mind when it comes to the messy world of human beings and what might be true. But there's so much more that we might not understand, even through the senses of this miraculous ecosystem. So let's pause again and come back to an awareness of the nature of the body. Maybe re-establishing our posture, so much held in our posture, sometimes hurts, attitudes, ideas. Just let that, as far as we can, just let that relax. Be aware of the water in the body. So much of our body is water. And the heat in the body. Being a mammal, like so many mammals, generating warmth. You might be aware of the spaces in the body. Sometimes feel so heavy and solid. On a micro level, we are mostly empty, completely empty space. As we breathe, we can be aware of the air in the body. Not just in our lungs, nourishing the whole body. So these elements of water, earth, fire, space, air, all the same elements for all of us, and they are also the elements that, or the colors, are used in the Tibetan prayer flags, the blue for the water, for example. It's like our whole body is a blessing of these elements. First, we connect with the nature inside us, outside us, and recognizing our commonality, not just in the elements, but we are all vulnerable. We are all capable of waking up. We are capable of being astonished, of loving, of being loved. So coming back to what we know about nature, we often miss what is totally astonishing right before us. And in another life, I was a science teacher. I mean, not literally, but I'm old, so decades ago. But I think of hydrogen, two atoms, very flammable gas, and oxygen gas, and they come together, they join hands, and they turn into a liquid, into water. I mean, how it's like a magic trick. But we drink water all the time, and we don't really look at what's happening there, or the sun radiating energy 150 million. Okay, my mind gives up again, kilometers away. And when it comes to a plant, the leaves can take carbon dioxide and turn it into the plant, into stems and flowers. And that's just amazing. So on the one hand, this is all right before us to teach us, not quite perhaps in that scientific way, but the wonder is transmitted more like His Holiness can transmit teaching and wakefulness without words. And nature does the same thing. So there's this interdependence on the physical level, emotional, of course, the life level. Um, the Buddhist teacher, Nagarjuna, one of his central teachings is that nothing exists independently from something else. And in the West, Plato, his whole definition of being was interacting. So he said there's no independent existence. And back to science, an electron, if it doesn't interact, it doesn't have volume, it doesn't have velocity, it doesn't have a position. So it also literally doesn't exist. From our own place at Damagiri, as I understand, an Amazulu ontology worldview, it's centered on respecting life in all its forms because of the interdependence and the belief that everything is completely interconnected. One of the scholars in this field, Radebe, explains how the concept of ukukonya, of ukukonza, hope I pronounced that correctly, is a process where one surrenders one's identity in order to belong to a group, understanding that we are all interconnected. So the teachings from First Nations, from quantum theory, from Buddhism, and our own experience as we practice sitting is one of interconnection. And I particularly acknowledge and love the way the team is all sitting together. I think it's so auspicious for our sitting today. And I'll read before we sit quietly. I really like this book on parallel sayings of scientists and Buddhism. I'll just read 2 quotes from each. So from Schrödinger, some of you know, he says, every person's world picture is and always remains a construct of their mind and cannot be proved to have any other existence. Quantum theory. And then the Buddha said, the objective mind rises from the mind itself. And the last one from these parallel sayings from the Scientist Prize. The external world is not a thing founded in itself that can in any way be established as an independent existence. And then from J.T. Suzuki, there is nothing that can be called an independent, solitary, self-originating nature, or is ultimately empty. So it's really interesting seeing the interconnection of our knowledge as well, um, and that parallel with nature. So I've been talking a lot. This is a chance for us to sit. Let's sit, say, for 10, 15 minutes, and I will end by reading something by one of my, I suppose, ancestors, and he comes from Ireland, David White. So let's sit quietly. Just connecting back with the body, feeling the Sangha over our different spaces. Noticing the breathing, and where there's any tightness, tension, maybe softening around that, often in the shoulders, in the belly, back, sitting like a mountain. You might notice what it is like to sit and do nothing, being a human being. Of course, it's very natural for the mind to find something to do. You can just come back to breathing, reflecting on our connection. So feeling what it's like, bringing the awareness into the room, noticing the transition of that, opening the eyes. So like I said, I'll read a poem of David White's, and it seems a little bit of a change of direction. It's about happiness, and it struck me. I think what made me choose it was I was on a retreat at Imoyeni with Candace, who has been a nun for a long time, and we were having an informal conversation, just chatting and about her life in a monastery. And she said one day she decided to be happy, and it struck me that, oh, is that all it takes? Somehow that just struck me as being so wonderful. She just decided to be happy. So I chose this poem of David White's. Maybe I need light. What is this beguiling reluctance to be happy? This quickness in turning away the moment you might arrive. The felt sense that a moment's unguarded joy might, after all, just kill you. You know so very well the edge of darkness you have always carried with you. You know so very well your childhood legacy, that particular inherited sense of hurt given to you so freely by the world you entered. And you know too well by now the body's hesitation at the invitation to undo everything others seemed to want you to make you learn, to want to make you learn. But your edge of darkness has always made its own definition secretly as an edge of light. And the door you closed might, by its very nature, be one just wanting to be leant against and opened. And happiness might just be a single step away on the other side of that unhelpful and undeserving thought. This living, breathing body, always waiting to greet you at the door, always, no matter the long years you've been away, still wanting you to come home. So thank you everyone for being here. It's wonderful to be connected with you. And I'll hand over to Maya.
Thank you so much, Moyra. Thank you for so skillfully and gently guiding us, and this invitation to connect in with what's ancient and timeless, and your reminders of just the magic that we're surrounded by. I also really appreciate the playfulness that's infused through your offering. I definitely feel uplifted.
Thank you.
So we have some space now. We'd like to open to anyone who'd like to share anything, have a question, anything from your practice or anything that's emerging in your heart right now. We'd love to hear from you. is in the chat from Rachel. Thank you so much. Need to sign off. Grateful for the space. Blessing to all. Thank you, Rachel. Go well. Yes, Shivani, please. Hello, Shivani. Hello, Dave.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Hello,
Hi.
Moyra. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. It was so beautiful. And yeah, I have to agree with Maya. I really appreciated the light moments. I think what struck me was the connection between the David White piece and this, the sense of being nature, because I think what it feels like for me is it's our disconnection from nature and that innate sense of worthiness, which stands in the way of happiness. Yeah, so that's what kind of landed for me at the end. It was really beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did I say anything while I'm on it?
I'll share. Oh, did Moy just drop off?
No, Moira's the
Yeah.
constant raise
Oh,
hand.
okay, all right. Okay. I just, that was really lovely. Thank you so much, Moira. And there was two things that struck me, and the one was the beautiful pause to allow us to imagine what it would be like without language. To be in that moment of our great ancient ancestors who communicated with heart and feeling tone rather than cognitive thought, and it just actually felt very expansive and light, and it actually felt liberating. I was like, oh my god, it actually can be that simple, maybe not in the rat race we live in, but that I can lean back into those moments of like, yeah, there actually is simplicity beyond this, and I absolutely loved it. And that actually connects to the second thing that you kept saying, which I really loved, when you kept saying, you were talking about these time concepts and how some of them are so inconceivable, like the bats being around for 6 million years, that it actually just forces the mind to give up, and I just love that phrase, that it just forces the mind to give up, because there is magic in that. That is such a gift from the universe, from not man-made time, but from broader time, the element of ether, which is space and time that contains all. And it's such a precious gift of like, listen, I've got this. You don't have to try and figure out all these little things. They're all happening and have been happening. And you can just, even when you receive information that's so like inconceivable, you don't know where to even package it or how to even digest it. It's like, it doesn't matter, because it's just unfolding as it should. And it's like, yeah, it's humbling. Maybe that's the word I want to use. It's humbling. It's just like, yeah, I'm just a little blip here to do my little blip work. So let me just stay in my blip and do what I can in my blip and really enjoy the wonder of it all. So thank you, Moira.
Thank you. I saw Constance's hand up.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Moira, for that wonderful reminder of our connection with nature around us. I think it requires that silence, not just verbal silence, but probably thought silence as well, for us to focus on our connection with the natural environment around us, just to see, to try fathom. I know it's hard, but trying to fathom the vastness the might, and how it's so fully equipped with life-giving capacity. And much of the time I am so busy to even notice. It requires sometimes going out, maybe taking a walk, for one to be aware that, okay, there are trees, they are actually quite beautiful, or there are clouds, or so it requires that moment of silence, if I were to put it that way, for us to recognize these things. And yeah, so thank you so much for guiding us through that process.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right now, you might hear Freddie, one of our dogs outside, reminding us of, that he's also part of this and we are also part of all of it.
And reminding us of all the frequencies we can't hear, the smells we can't hear, that there's so much magic beyond our conception, I suppose.
So thank you, everyone. It really is
Maya,
wonderful.
Maya,
Yes.
just before you bring us
Please.
to a close, I feel provoked to embarrass Constance a little bit and tell her that she's the one. I left her PhD thesis at Damagiri because she's the one who did that amazing work up in the mountains at the schools
Yes.
in the area. So, Constance, your book is safely at Damagiri for people to read more about the area and the people there.
Yes. Thank you, Constance. We have it safely here. It's lovely to meet you. Make the connection.
Thank you. Thank you.
And please come back.
Yeah.
Please come visit us. You have to
Will
visit
do.
your thesis now.
We want an
Yes,
autograph.
yes. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Moira, and thank you, everyone. It's beautiful to be in the space of collective remembering together, and also to be reminded that we're not doing it alone. That we share a desire to open and to seek and to remember. And as you all know, these sessions are offered freely, and Neil's shared details in the chat if you'd like to make a contribution. It really helps us to continue to offer everything we do at Dharmagiri and keep this place thriving. And yeah, and we also really appreciate all your moral support and encouragement and just showing up. That's really huge. So I'm going to hand over to Pumla, who's going to take us out with a sharing of blessings.
Yeah, so just making ourselves comfortable. Allowing the eyelids to become heavy, and if they close, that's good. And if they don't close, that's also good. Just allowing all the muscles in the body to come into a state of relaxation and softness. Allowing a wave of ease to wash through the body as we allow the beautiful words that we've received from Moyra and everyone's sharing, just to really just sink into our being for a moment. Allowing our body just to soften so we can truly just receive the blessings of the session, the blessing of the words, the blessing of the smiles, and the faces and the hearts, and the connection, the blessing of the laughter, the blessing of the barking. Just allowing ourselves to receive it gently, without forcing, just with an open heart, as if there were no words, no language needed to accept it, just openness. And as we allow ourselves to receive the blessings of this practice, allow our hearts to open up so these blessings can pour through us. Allowing ourselves to generously share these blessings so that these blessings are multiplied through us. Sharing these blessings with all those that are here with us physically, spiritually, sharing these blessings with those that have walked before us, our foremothers, our forefathers, and their foremothers and forefathers, and all the ones that gave birth to 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 us. Allowing the blessings just to ripple out to those that have cleared the path for us, all the teachers that have walked this path, that have bravely stepped forward, whether it's in their small communities or larger communities, to keep all these different kinds of teachings alive, vibrant, available, sharing these blessings with them, sharing these blessings with the ancient ones, our ancestors that were the chimps and the birds and the dinosaurs and the lizards and the spiders and the fish and the whale and the amoeba, our ancestors that were the dust and the stars and the fire and the water and the air, and even the element of ether, time and space. Sharing these blessings freely without the constraints of language and concept, just allowing them just to pour and move without trying to use language to understand. Allowing these blessings just to pour out to those that are walking this path with us right now, whether it's a conventional or unconventional way. Our peers, our brothers, our sisters, our colleagues, our friends, our neighbors, those that we've met in traffic, at the shops, those that we've met online, have not even met physically, those that we've sat in meetings with, just allowing our hearts to pour out blessings to all these incredible beings that we've crossed paths with in this incarnation. And then allowing these blessings to roll forward to those that are still rising up. The youth, the children, our brothers and sisters' children, our neighbors' children, our colleagues' children, those that are still in the chapter of adventure and exploration, may they too receive the blessings and the protections of these practices of our time together. And to those that are beyond our human mind, those that are creating sounds and noises and smells and frequencies that we cannot hear or understand, we send blessings to them too. Those that we cannot see and will probably not see for many generations until science catches up. Those that our ancestors could see and feel and connect to, we send blessings to them too. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free. May all beings know unconditional love and its liberating power. Amen.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone.